welcome back to the Refined Life podcast. We're excited to be here. I feel like we have maybe one of the most important podcasts we'll ever do today. So we're excited to have our good friend Matt Murphy here.
Yeah.
Matt is awesome. I'm super excited to have him. We've worked together a little bit already, and we actually just had a meeting the other day. But, man, as you get into this and you learn about what this guy's doing, where he comes from, his story and everything, it'll open up your heart, it'll open up your tears, and then it also might get you a little bit angry, but in a good way, because we're going to channel that anger. He's going to help us channel that anger towards something good.
All the emotions are coming for
Let's get real angry first, right?
Yeah, let's get real angry first. Anger, rage.
So I think it's important that everybody knows who Matt is. So across from us right now, we've got Special Forces, Green Beret, Sniper, war veteran, father.
Yeah.
Engaged or married now?
Engaged, married soon. Yeah.
Engaged, married soon. So
Professional outdoorsman.
Well, that comes with Sniper.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless he
501c3
he's a
runner
bad
of things.
mofo, so he might be killing them with his bare hands. I mean, we don't know.
I mean, sometimes you wish you could, right?
Yeah.
So I think that gives just some insight into who you are as a person as we dive into your story, where you come from, where you've been, where you are now, and everything you're doing to really not just refine your life, but refine this world, right? Like it's a huge
absolutely.
mission. So what do you think, Vinny?
What I think is cool, because, I mean, so many times, obviously, you get on the stage and you give your testimony about why you started your 501c3, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But I want to know where Matt Murphy, the man, comes from. Like, what, did you were an athlete in high school?
Yeah.
Who was your mom and dad? Like, I want to know that kind of stuff, because I think if we get from that foundation and we learn, like, where did this all get built from in the very beginning, then we get to the reason that you've become the man that you have become today. And so I don't know how many times you get to tell that part of your story.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'd love to hear that. Like, what was your childhood life like?
Yeah. Well, man, first of all, thank y'all for having me here.
Yeah.
I really appreciate
It's a
the
blessing.
time. My early childhood was a little rough, man. I was the oldest of 3 boys from my dad and mom. My dad was married before and had 3 other kids before. So I had older siblings, but there was about a 10-year gap between us. So it was a real quick, just boom, 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 me and my 2 younger brothers. And then my dad left. He just abandoned us pretty much. There's some other things going on. Obviously, I was so young, I didn't really realize. But my earliest memories are me living in the ghetto pretty much. So single mom, 3 kids. She went and worked a full-time job, so she moved us out to this part of Memphis called Hickory Hill. Hickory Hill is a rough spot, man.
I've been there.
And like that, I know that last police beating that happened in Memphis not too long ago, where they killed that young guy.
Yep.
That was in my neighborhood, literally around the corner from like where I grew up. So me and my brothers were some of the few white kids in the neighborhood. It was a very, it was a transforming time where that suburb was starting to become like the really bad part of town to live.
Yeah.
So lots of fighting, lots of, nonsense. Lots of my friends from early childhood have gone on to drugs, gangs, or dead. But we got lucky, and my mom remarried when I was about to turn 10. And my stepdad, who's now adopted me, is a psychologist, and he did really well.
Yeah.
So we spent a few more years in that neighborhood, and, I started to live a little bit different in life because he was able to, pay for me to, start playing sports, get involved. So I started playing basketball and soccer. We could finally afford to do things.
Right, yeah.
So that was cool, man. And so, yeah, we got real big into sports, and that's how I stayed out of the trouble. So right around 10 is really where I started to, get out of the neighborhood, because you wouldn't believe how early kids start smoking cigarettes and drugs. And they start recruiting kids to do things, at that age, because you're not getting into trouble, But my parents were able to get me out of that. Started playing basketball, ride my bike to the gym every day, play basketball. Finally afforded to be on a team, and, it worked out. But it was tough, man, because I had seen that all those things growing up. So I thought it was normal and acceptable, and I was still kind of drawn to it a little bit. Man.
Right.
So my parents, when I was going into high school, they could afford to send me to a private school. So I'll never forget the first day of private school. I show up, I'm going to play basketball and football and all this stuff, and I show up with a gold chain on, with my, with my dress shirt and my tie. Right?
I need the picture. Bro.
Yeah, I wish I would have had a
didn't
picture.
happen.
6'2", probably 150 pounds, soaking wet, gold chain and a tie on, man. So, needless,
So you were fresh, is what you're saying.
yeah, needless to say, I didn't fit in. I wasn't part of the trust fund club, and I'm getting dropped off in a green Ford Windstar minivan, and they're getting dropped off in BMWs. You know what I mean? It's just totally different life. So I didn't really fit in private school, but because of that, I got pulled into the crowd of the bad kids, right? Yep. The kids that wanted to go smoke pot behind the school, and
And he means he was the leader of the band.
Yeah.
He had the gold chain.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think there's a pecking order about how much money your parents have at private school. That determines your worth, of course.
Correct.
But man, so I started making bad decisions. Now throughout all this, my other problem was I was always too smart for my own good, and since an early age, they put me in like the advanced placement courses, and had me reading books that were 6-7 years above my reading level and all of that. But I could never get stimulated in school. So by the time I got to high school, I got really bored. So I would pretty much ace every test I ever took and never do homework. So after that first year of private school, it's like, I got to get out of here. So my parents sent me to Collierville High School, which is a really nice public high school, right outside of Memphis. And went there, played basketball, stopped playing football. And I was, again, drawn to that bad crowd, right? So I never did homework. 4 years of high school. Never did homework. If I couldn't get it done in study hall, I didn't do it. I aced almost every test I took, and that kept my GPA right at like a 2 point whatever, whatever, right where I need to be. So senior year, we take the ACT. And I get called in the principal's office, and they go, Matt, you just got the second highest score in the state on the ACT, and you're about to fail high school.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Because it was like the second highest score you could get.
Yeah. I made a 13.
That's good
job,
man.
Vinny.
That's
what
about
it
half
was,
the score that you can make.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, top score.
No, it's 36.
36.
Not even
Yeah, I
half.
think it's 35.
13 is not
Yeah.
even half that you
Yeah.
can make. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I get that, and and they're all just like, Matt, what are you doing with your life? And I was just, I don't know, I'm not stimulated. I'm bored. You know? So I got walked to class for the next 6 weeks by the assistant principals. So I would go to class and do the work I needed to do and graduate. Graduated, and I got a full scholarship to college because of my ACT
That score.
Yeah, because of my ACT score. And sure enough, what I do when I get to college,
Bored as heck.
Bored as heck.
Party.
Partied my face off. 0-0 the first semester.
Yeah.
They, my parents saw that, like, Matt, if you do that again, because they were helping me out financially, at this point I was spoiled. I had a house and a car, and I was like, all right. And so I got a dean's list the next semester. 0-0 again the next semester.
A little purpose and motivation.
Again.
A little purpose and motivation change everything for you.
Yeah, I was lost, man. I started kind of gambling professionally at that time too. I would go to class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I would play poker at the casino 45 minutes from Memphis, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
What was the game of choice? Was this Texas Hold'em or blackjack?
Dude, Texas Hold'em, and if depending on how much I got up, then I would go gamble with whatever I had left.
Roulette and all that good stuff.
Yeah. But I love blackjack.
3-card poker.
Blackjack's fun, yeah.
And that's how I lived. That's literally how I lived. Going to school and gambling, and sometimes going to school. I was lost, man. I just couldn't find an outlet. There was just too much, man. But there was never enough stimulation, enough action, something that I was ever interested enough in. So I had a buddy who was a Navy SEAL during... before he joined before the Iraq-Afghanistan campaigns kicked off. And he told me all these stories, right? And they all sounded awesome. but there was a lot of drowning involved, you know, and like shallow water blackouts and all this stuff. And I was like, man, I'm not doing that. So I was like, I'm going to join the Army. You know, I don't think they swim in the Army. So I switched to political science and was about to finish college, and I got into an argument in one of my political science philosophy classes. And this girl called me out. She goes, Matt, how can you believe in and say all the things you say about America? Because I was pretty passionate about my stance. And then you haven't fought for this country.
Challenge.
Damn.
Oh, yeah. Well, no,
Yeah, she called him out for
Yeah,
sure.
I was like, I can't say anything like that. And then, so yeah, I mean, literally, like, then I thought of my buddy, the Navy SEAL, and I was like, you know what? So I went to MEPS, right? The military entrance, whatever, processing center. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I want to go in the Army. And they're like, what? And I was like, I'm going to go fight in Iraq. So once I said that, the guy's like, infantry? I was like, yeah, infantry. Let's sign me up. So he's like, all right, well, you got to go through this whole process, come back in 2 weeks, take a test. You know, we got to give you physicals and all that. And you pass all that stuff, then you'll be allowed to sign a contract, join the Army. So I go, do this thing 2 weeks later. They didn't tell me there's a piss test, right? All right, so,
This is where the party backfires.
So I'm, you know, there's like
Challenge number 2.
yeah, right. So you know, I'm in college, man. I was, you know, we drank, smoked pot. I'm not proud of that, you know, but that's just the way it was. I had a good time, and sure enough, like we're going through all these tests, and they take us to a bathroom, and like you gotta pee in a cup. I'm like, well, I'm not doing the Army.
We're done here.
Yes, this campaign is over with.
I was like, we'll give it a college try. So you know, I peed in the cup. Of course, I failed. But they needed people that bad at that time. They made me wait a period. I forget how long. Like I've been blown up so many times I can't remember anything. But it's like 6 months, years, something like that. I had to wait. So, anyways, I came back. I wanted to do it. I was determined to do it. So, and that's how I ended up in the Army. And I eventually passed the piss test. So, you know, that's how I got here today. Yeah, man, it was a journey. Like and through that whole journey, the thing that I realized, and this has really influenced me the most today, is how important having a strong father in your life is. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was raised by a single mom in my early childhood, really where you develop the most, and you emulate what you see. And I saw a hard work ethic from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is an amazing Christian woman. I love her to death. We were so poor. She had a Honda that didn't have air conditioning. You know, Memphis gets pretty hot in the summer.
Yeah.
And she used to pick me and my brothers up from the summer camp we had to go to because she couldn't watch us during the day. She had to work.
Right.
And she would put a cooler in the back with ice and Capri Suns in it and give us the cold Capri Sun so we wouldn't die in the car on the way out.
Right.
You know. I mean, my mom
Little
was,
did you know you was going to get in that cooler and sit.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly, man. My mom was the same, you know. She did everything she could for us. So I learned a lot, but I never really had a dad there to smack me in the face, literally or figuratively, when I was doing something stupid. And I was a pretty A-type personality, had a lot of energy. I never had a dad there to really, channel that for me. And when my stepdad came on, great guy. He took care of us financially, accepted 3 boys. But he was working all the time, and he was a very beta guy. He's a psychologist, let's sit down and talk about it. I needed to be punched in the face, and repeatedly probably, and so I learned, every kid's different in a situation, but every kid needs a dad. And I think America would be a lot better place right now.
I think the father figure is important. I mean, the mothers, even in my household with my kids, it's like my wife is this, she's the caring one, and somebody falls or gets hurt, she's the one. I'm over there saying, is he really hurt? I ain't gonna react until I know. Oh yeah, he's bleeding. Come here, buddy. Her, she's like, oh. I was like, babe, he literally just fell on the floor like 2 inches from where he was at. He's good. But he knows how to test it and get those waters going. But
same way with our girls.
Yeah.
When they wake up with a stomach ache and it's I can't go to school this morning. My stomach hurts, and the mom and the moms is
oh my gosh, get the thermometers, get the chicken soup.
Let's take their temp, and you can stay home today. And then the dad comes in, and it's like, oh no, girl, You're going to school. If your
Yeah.
stomach's hurting come lunchtime, they'll call us and let us know.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's important to have both of those things. I think that helps create a well-rounded person, and not that you can't have somebody go wrong from the opposite or right from the opposite. You
Yeah.
know, and the different trials and tribulations. Like for me, I had a very strong father figure, but he did punch me in the face literally every day,
Yeah.
and so I kind of learned the kind of dad I didn't want to be by having that.
There you go.
But he also taught me to hunt and how to fish and how to play baseball. And I mean, he did a lot of great things too in that. I think it was, partly because he loved us. And then the other part was he had been through Vietnam and he had done a lot of stuff as well. He'd seen things. So I think in his mind, well, that ain't near as bad as what I've been through.
Right.
And so it took a long time for me to forgive him for all the things that he did to us. But I do appreciate now, even looking back, the good things that were there, even though they were tailored by all this bad stuff. And, won't get into all that of my story, but it does make me realize how important just having that person there to at least be that authoritative figure is. And you do need that discipline and you do need that kind of walk the line kind of thing in some experiences. You need to be able to go out there and adventure and test the waters and make some mistakes and all that. But you also need somebody there to say, hey, get in line,
Yeah.
And I think I think it's important that we point out there are nonprofits out there for that exact reason, and yours is one of them. Live to Be and Music with the Mission, right? Is for you single moms out there who struggle with this. There's outlets.
Yeah.
Just contact us, and if we don't know the exact outlet for the city you're in, we'll all pull together. And make that
we'll
happen
figure it.
for
We'll
sure.
figure it out. And I think, like I said, I think it's very important. What you're saying is, and I didn't know that about you. So that's why I wanted to get to know this side of the story is like, what makes a guy say, you know what, I am going to go and I'm going to be in special forces and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to, and especially in the time of which you went in was, you knew you were going to war.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes people join like, we might go to war, we might not. And they go and they serve 6, 10, 8, whatever, years. And they never had to go into battle.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. I don't, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But when you signed up, no, I'm going and I'm going to go through my basic training or whatever, and I'm going straight to the front lines, and that's a big deal. So I went to go sign up. I graduated in 2002. So obviously 9/11 happened my senior year. So I go to sign up for that. Now I weighed 375 pounds my senior year. I walk up to the Marine table. They're like, no. So I went to the Army table. They're like, no. And I went to the Navy table. I'm like, okay, this is just a theme now.
Yeah. Well, the Army would take you now, man.
Yeah, they love me now. Back then they wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, they basically what he said was, he's like, oh, you can sign up if you want to, but we're going to have to send you through basic training like 5 times before you'll be at the weight you need to be at to actually go and do whatever. So I was a big target, let's just say that.
Well, that's how Goggins started too, right?
Oh, yeah, he was like 260,
He
270
was a big
pounds.
boy too.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing.
you became a Green Beret,
Uh-huh.
right? Like, tell us a little bit about that mindset of just how you really have to dial in. Like, at any point, you're responsible for people's lives when you're in the Army.
Yeah.
But Green Beret Special Forces, like, to me, obviously I haven't been there, but it seems like you've got to be very just in tune with the right mindset and knowing your P's and Q's at all times. Because you're not just responsible for your own life. You're responsible for everyone around you's life, right? So walk us through a little bit about, like, party, right? Double zeros to Dean's List, to double zeros to Dean's List, to then being able to just kind of refine yourself and bring it all in to where you find yourself in a position to being responsible for other human lives, right?
Yeah. So I wanted to join the military because I thought, like, learning how to fight and, protect the innocent and accomplish all these things is how you could become a man. I think that's what I was lost about, is I didn't really know how to be a man, right? Or what my version I thought of a man was. So I joined infantry basic training, stationed in Germany, and went to Iraq for 13 months. While I was in Iraq, I was in Sadr City. I was there for the surge of Sadr City in 2008. Wow. And it was a pretty wild time to be there. Well, we had fun, if you want to call it that. Bad days, real bad days, good days, right? But the memory I have the most of being there was that at night, this few trucks would pull in, these Toyota Tacomas. Here we are riding around these big monstrous trucks, covered in all this stupid armor, you
Yeah.
know, walking around like a samurai because of IEDs and snipers. And then these dudes come in, no armor at all, maybe just a little chest plate, and they wouldn't even wear helmets, these huge beards, long slicked back hair, all these kick-ass guns. And they'd walk in, they'd brief my commander there about what they're about to go do in our AO. And then they would just roll out like that. And then the sky would start lighting on fire because they were calling in like the AC-130, like gunship strikes. And these dudes were getting after it like on another level. And I was like, you know, first time we saw them, like, who are those guys?
Yeah.
You know, and I just Green Berets. Don't look at them. You know, like, you know, and
Them the dudes.
yeah. You know, so I was like, all right, I'm doing that now. So I get back and I went
He instantly
through.
starts taking off all the armor.
yeah.
I'm going commando.
Thank God. But no, man, we had a guy get killed by a sniper because they started shooting us in the armpits. So then they went and made us start wearing chest plates in our armpits. So now we got like 4 chest plates around us. You know, all this stupid flak armor on our shoulders. We literally looked like samurais. When you think
RoboCop.
you can't fight like that. It's like 120 degrees outside, man.
right.
Like, you know, it's just nonsense. You know, big army is just stupidity and nonsense a lot of times, unfortunately, because it's taking that one size fits all mentality. One guy messes up, everybody gets messed up. You know, and it just that's just the mindset in the big army because all they care about is the big army, the big machine. You don't matter in the big army. You're just a cog of the wheel keeps everything else moving, right? You know, so there were a lot of days where we were walking around like I'm not even kidding. When I was in the infantry, we would walk down some of the most dangerous IED routes that they had out there because they knew they wouldn't. Well, we hope not that they wouldn't pull the trigger on just a dismounted troop. We'd keep a lot of space, waste that IED on just one body because they're waiting for the big truck to go by so they can, kill 6 people and blow up the big $1 million machine. You know. So we would go around literally just foot patrols looking for IEDs, and I'm like, man,
With your foot.
With my foot. There it goes.
Kick that thing. Oh, that was just a can. Nope, that was an IED.
Yeah, in my mind, so that was that was really my realization that I personally wanted more. I wanted, so I went to Special Forces selection. Not fun. That was 21 days in hell. You can say it's rough, man, but. The thing that got me there, that mindset, right, is, half of it was I know I can do this because this is what I want to be. I think everybody shows up there wanting to be that, but I had this motivation factor of like all the mistakes that I had made, because I could have been a great basketball player, I was good. I could dunk in 8th grade, like I could have done a lot of things. I could have, probably, graduated somewhere in the top of my class in college had I applied myself, had I actually tried. I could have, life could have had a different path. I was just like, this is it for me. This is where I belong, and I'm doing this. So, like, the whole time I'm just thinking of, like, everybody I let down in my life. And mistakes I made at the same time is like, no, this is what you're going to do. You're a freaking warrior. You're gonna get this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, right? And get the job done. And I made it through that selection process, got selected. That was an experience for sure. But once you get selected and say, hey, you're just selected to go to training, right? So it's like you start with like 400 or 500, maybe 60 to 80 finish selection.
Wow.
And I don't know how many of that, actually go to the course. I mean, it's changing now because it's a new Army. Everybody,
right?
I've heard some bad stories, but. Whatever, I'm out now.
That's right.
Well, no, too bad. They're protecting our nation, so anyways, I don't even want to go on that rant right now. But so I had 2 years of school, almost 2 years of school. Became a communication sergeant. Once you're a Green Beret, you get assigned a language and a specialty skill to have on the team. So I got Arabic. Oh man. Country boy speaking Arabic, but now I'm pretty fluent in a couple dialects of Arabic, talking about anybody.
Yeah.
It only works now for Ubers in Nashville, but whatever,
Can you give us a little Arabic?
Let me tell you what they don't see is that white boy speaking Arabic.
Oh, dude, it blows
their mind when you get there. Right?
My fiance at first was like, we were first dating. It was, it's super cool. He speaks Arabic. That's really hot. But now it's like, Matt.
I mean, I got to hear some of it. I got to get a little taste of this.
There you go.
He said, shoot something.
What do you want me to say?
Oh, I don't know. I want you to say,
Uh-huh.
what would you have to say in Arabic when you was going in to clear a room?
Oh, I didn't say Arabic. It
He was
was
gonna get down. Or
yeah, just you're really loud, really aggressive
yeah.
in English with a gun. But that they speak M4 really well. You don't shoot everybody, but when M4 is pointed at you, usually you're like, whoop,
We're going to do what you say.
yeah. But if they like raise your hands or something like that.
How about your arms are really big?
Golly.
Yeah, let's see.
I know, but I got to get leaner though. But I got a good little truck coming up.
No, I mean, so like, yeah, man, it's the cool part is when you're in that combat environment, you're not really yelling Arabic and stuff like that.
Right.
The good part about it is building the relationships.
Yeah.
Because that's what Special Forces
Right.
is, right? We do all the cool guy stuff, but our main job is to buy with and through, build out a partner force, train with them, eat with them, sleep in the same conditions they sleep with. I used to say sleep with them, and then that sounds weird nowadays. So now it's like sleep in the same, sleep in the same, conditions. We live like they do, build that rapport, and then go fight. Take the fight to the bad guys. Yeah. So through that training, man, I had a really, really awesome time, man. I just learned so much, and you finish that, and you're like, and you get to put that beret on, and you graduate, and you show up to the team, and you realize you don't know shit. And you're like,
now the real training begins.
Yeah,
The experience.
Yeah. You're like, man, it never ends. But that's the cool part about being an SF guy is the training never ends.
Yeah.
And the coolest part about my career, especially early on, was I was the new guy.
Yeah.
And, I had to prove myself, but also had to be humble, right? Be extremely humble and be like, look, I don't know everything. I just finished a school, and now I'm here with seasoned warfighters, right?
Yeah.
These dudes have been fighting the war on a whole nother level than I ever understood, and living in different ways. Because when you're in the big army, you have the huge machine behind you,
Yeah.
You got your food coming, you got your, all your support and logistics and all that stuff. And a lot of times they're the Special Forces team. It's just you and 10 to 12 other dudes, and you got to do all that shit.
You got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out,
Yeah.
So the cool part was I got to learn all the man stuff. I got to learn how to change oil and fix a tire and do electrical wiring. I didn't know how to do plumbing now. I mean, there's so many skills that I learned outside of just being a warrior.
Yeah.
So now I refuse to let somebody do work on my house, or I used to, and now I'm just so damn busy I don't have a choice. But, but I can do it myself. I can pretty much fix anything or figure it out. And if I can't, I'll buy something else. But you learn that mentality because you're out there and you've got to make it work. And anything that can improve your quality of life, your living conditions, or from just clean water, electric, whatever it is. It was cool, man. Like get to do that stuff. On top of, I became a sniper and then, went to the Special Forces sniper school, and I was a JTAC, foreign weapons expert. I did a bunch of other stuff on the intel side. I worked at the agency for about 4 or 5 years, I forget. I got recruited in the CIA, or detailed to them, so they're like, put me on a special program with them. So I got to do it all, man. I mean, from Iraq to Afghanistan to Syria.
What would you say if you had to look at one? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, 2 words sum this man up. Bad
Badass.
motherfucker.
Yeah, that's 3 words. Wait, is
that-
motherfucker one word?
Motherfucker's one word, right?
Yeah, probably.
Well,
I think,
we'd have to Google it. I don't know.
yeah.
Now we're Googling.
I don't know if we're in the dictionary. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So, all those experiences, man, and you've lived more lives in one life than most people will ever live, and even one of yours.
Weird to think.
In a different, obviously different. I mean, there's people that are going to go and be a doctor, and they're going to go through this trial and tribulation to become a better doctor, or, when I got into the music business, it's just a different thing. But there were so many levels to what you did. What was your favorite level? Like, what was the point where you're like, dude, this was, if I had to go back and do one of them, which part did you love the most? And I know that's hard to say because it's like,
from putting my beret on to the first time to, my first contact, taking contact as a Green Beret to, the the night we killed all the Russians and the mercenaries over in Syria. I mean, I've had, and there's so many I can't talk about because it was on a classified thing. But man, it's so hard to say. Well, man, I've lived a life that I never thought I would live.
Right. Yeah.
And it just goes by so fast, man. But at the time of my life, I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now. But I think if I had to say one thing that I'll never forget, it probably was the night we got attacked by all those Russian mercenaries in Syria. And I think we all thought we were dead for sure. But then the Air Force showed up and,
it's like,
well,
took care of business.
Hallelujah.
every plane in the Middle East and Europe was over us within 45 minutes. It was probably the craziest night of my life.
It's a movie scene.
Oh, it literally was.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to make a movie about that.
Well, why is it got to be somebody? Why can't we do it?
Yeah, right.
I know you know one guy that does movies and makes real deal movies. So
Yeah, man. Why
I
not?
mean that's what got me into charity. Is one day I was sitting there saying, "Man, somebody ought to do something about those homeless veterans." And Jared looks at me and goes, "Well, why can't it be us? Why can't we be somebody?" I'm like, "Now I got another job."
Yeah.
But it's worth doing because then you're like, you know what? Instead of always saying somebody else ought to, sometimes you got to just be that somebody. So
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have a movie about Matt Murphy for too long.
I think we're onto something. And while we've got a second, you mentioned Jared. We are missing Jared today.
Yeah, Jared.
And this is where he would tell you guys, if y'all like his arms today, please like, comment, share, do all them things. If you like them,
Yeah.
make
give
that
us a
happen for us
5-star
today.
rating. 5 stars. 5 stars.
Yes,
That's 5
all-
stars.
all that stuff.
Unless they have 6 stars, and then give us 6. Okay.
Do they have some? Yeah, well, now
they
do.
should. They should have.
With them size arms, there's got to be
Yeah,
six.
they got to have a 6 on there.
I should give it to you.
No, I think that's awesome, man. So let's get to the meat and potatoes. I think we got about 25 minutes or so left. 20 minutes here.
All right.
So what I really want people to know is what you're doing now
Yeah.
and how they can help with what you're doing now, because it's important to keep this going.
Mhm.
And so I want you to talk about that and kind of say, you don't have to give the full story if you don't want to about what got you into it.
I think it's important.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
as long as you're
important, yeah.
comfortable with it.
Oh, yeah. 100%, man. So, 2019, I just gotten back or was still in. I can't remember. Man, I'm sorry. I've been blown up so many times. I just gotten back from working with the Polish commander. They're all their military, on advising them on what U.S. Special Operations Forces would do if Russia attacked and went through Ukraine, which is obviously nothing. Sorry for lying to you, bud. But I don't make the decisions. You probably got a hit on me or something. But yeah, so I was over there, and my mom calls me, man, and she told me that my younger sister Sarah, who's 26 at the time, went missing. All right, what do you mean missing? She's like, man, I just don't know. Her phone, she won't answer her phone. It's been hours, and she never not answers her phone, which is true because my younger sister Sarah had a really bad drug problem. Started off with, pills and pharmaceuticals that she could take from like the cabinet, or friends' moms and a party. And then, it's like those drugs, especially the opiates, that are gateways, right? And
Absolutely.
create those addictions. And my sister, like so many other people in America right now, she got bad on heroin, and then it was fentanyl, right?
Yeah.
Now, I was very removed from her life because, one, I was removed from everyone's life.
Right.
I was deployed and overseas all the time. But my mom, because of there's some little anger management issues that I probably would have had I known the truth. My mom kept a lot of that from me because she didn't want me to do anything stupid. Because at that time I had 2 daughters.
Right.
So but the story was this guy picks her up. Now I can't say it's his fault. There's still an active investigation. I don't know the ins and outs, right? But he picks her up. 30 minutes after he picks her up and was seen on a Ring doorbell camera, radio silence. Her phone never touched the tower again. She was missing for almost 2 months.
And where is this at?
She was taken in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
So I cannot explain to you the hell that it causes on a family. I know it's bad enough when somebody's murdered, unjustly dies, for their age kind of thing. But when somebody's missing and you just don't know anything and you just keep hearing all these rumors and stuff keeps popping up, people even mess with you and send hey, we know where she, it's fucked up, man. Like it you know, and me being a Green Beret, counter-terror guy, you know, all these other things that I had done in life, I blamed myself, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't even go find my own sister, but I can go, you know, go find, you know, Muhammad or whoever, wherever the hell they're hiding at, you know, anywhere in the Middle East. So I started to beat myself up a lot,
Right.
you know. So it was tough, man. It was a lot of grief, and it's a process, man. It's just like all these ups and downs. So her body turned up in a river in Christmas Eve 2019. A couple guys that were out on Christmas Eve hunting found her body in a river. So that's when, thankfully, we got closure, right? Because we knew at this point, we knew she was dead, you know, and just didn't know
What happened?
you know, and yeah, what had happened. So we found it was closure, getting her
Right.
body back, right? So that part's over. Now it's like, what happened?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's all these rumors of human trafficking, and that, you know, she went to Mississippi and this group of guys were trafficking her. That was the main rumor we heard.
When they found her, was it a recent death or was it?
So they
Months,
estimated
you know.
that her body had been in the water for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Wow.
You know, so she definitely
And how long was she missing up into that point?
almost 2 months. Yeah. But so, and that's the thing. There's just so many unknowns, man.
Yeah.
It's a long 2
Lots of
months.
rumors and so many unknowns, right?
It's a long 2 months for sure.
Yeah.
I bet that
dude.
felt like a year plus.
Oh man, I can't even begin to tell you. It was rough, man. You know, and you blame her, parents, yourself. I mean, and all this stuff, and it's just, man, it destroys a family. I mean, my parents still aren't the same. You know?
Right,
And,
yeah.
I mean, Christmas isn't even a happy time.
Right.
You know, because it's you know, and, you know that reminder, right?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it was hell, man, to go through. I can't imagine what she went through. And we know that these guys, this guy that picked her up, I can say this, we know from witness testimony and other things that he trafficked her before her death because she had a drug problem. He was the drug dealer.
Right.
You know, that's what they do. And so it's happening to so many girls and boys.
Yeah.
Men and women across this country right now. Fentanyl is out of control.
Right.
Heroin's out of control, you know?
What does fentanyl do to you? Like I don't really know what it is. I mean, I've heard people talk about it all the time.
Kind of like heroin in a way.
Okay.
It's they mix them and stuff. It's a very addictive substance
Yeah.
that can just send you on a whole nother high. I guess I've never done it, but I just know that it's popular in that heroin community.
It always makes
Cheap
me
and strong, right?
Yeah.
Cheap and strong.
And
yeah.
so I think that's the thing. So it's kind of like most everybody probably works their way up to that, right? They start off at something like a prescription pill, and
yeah,
because it's like, I mean, if you know, like, hey, this can kill you, and it's really bad for you, I don't think anybody goes and is like, well, let me just go ahead and try that right now,
Yeah.
you know. So I'm just trying to, I don't know, it's
Well,
just it's out of my brainwave to think like when people get on meth now, like, you know, when we were kids, meth was kind of a new thing, I guess, or at least we thought it was a new thing.
Mhm.
And people were like, oh, I want to try some meth, you know, and they try meth, and, you know, next thing you know, it's like, oh, you ain't got no teeth left.
yeah.
But it's like now you know exactly what'll
Yeah.
happen if you do meth, but then people
Right.
still choose to do it.
Well, I mean, I can't put my head inside that mindset.
Yeah.
But what I've been told is it's like gateway drugs, right?
Right.
And usually that's why people are speaking out so much about the psychoactive drugs that people give for antidepressant and
Yeah.
all that. And then the other part is all the painkillers, opiates. You know, a lot of people can leave the hospital or leave getting injured and prescribed opiates addicted. You know, so,
Oh yeah, I've seen it happen.
yeah, I mean, fentanyl is even out of control now. Just in Nashville, Tennessee last year, 860 people died from overdosing just on fentanyl, just in Nashville.
Wow.
There were over 6,000 overdose responses by police and paramedics, and 55,000 hits of Narcan were given out in this city in 2022.
55,000. Holy crap.
And I'm guessing that's our tax dollars pay for all that?
Oh, 100%. But our tax dollars are also paid to try to stop it and prevent
Right,
it. But,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you can imagine that many people dying,
That blows
that
my
many
mind.
people
Yeah.
overdosing, and then that many Narcan hits being administered, how
How big the
big
problem
this
is.
problem is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people are on it? How many lives is it destroying as we speak that we just, and you never hear about that on the news. They
Yeah.
never talk about that stuff on the news.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big problem within trafficking now is getting teenage women and men hooked onto drugs. So, but yeah, man, I was in a dark place. COVID hit shortly after that, and everybody remembers COVID, right?
March
So
of
Oh, yeah.
February,
ish.
March 2020.
Yeah.
So I'm in the military. Now, Special Forces did a good thing for me, and so I could be there for my family. They moved me out of being operational on a team. They made me an instructor at our advanced skills company at Campbell. So I got to stay home, and then they let me take a lot of time off, to be there for my family during
Right.
this time. So very appreciative of them for that. But what that also did was they made sure that when COVID started, I had nothing to do. I was just told to just stay home.
So you're almost back to the no stimulation.
Oh,
Yeah.
But now, I don't know, PTSD,
Mhm.
just losing my sister, processing everything
Right.
that I had done in a very depressed mindset,
Right.
Yeah.
drinking myself almost to death, a couple nights staring at the pistol about to pull the trigger, kind of. I was in a dark place, man. Destroyed, the relationship that I was in at that time. It was bad, man. And in the summer, late summer 2020, man, it all kind of just flipped and changed. It didn't change overnight, but I just got to a really dark place. And for the first time, I don't make this a religious thing, but I said a prayer. And I hadn't prayed since, I don't know, middle school.
Right.
I wasn't a Christian or anything like that. I said a prayer and, and started trying to be a Christian again and be a good person and clean my life up. I was searching for anything. And, and as I started to try to clean my life up, I started to Google human trafficking.
Yeah.
And tried to learn about it. Because
Yeah.
I'd seen it overseas. Yazidi girls were sold for a pack of cigarettes in Syria every day.
Wow.
Now it's affected your family.
And now it happened to my family,
Yeah.
and it's like, wait a second. I cussed out almost every person that touched the case.
Right. Right.
And I was like, they don't even know. Nor do they investigate it. She's just another number. And I'm not insulting the police, but they're overwhelmed.
Right.
Oh yeah, they got so
Yeah.
many of those going on.
So right now, but it's not even so many of those, man. It's murder, drugs, rapes, robberies, armed burglary to just petty theft, domestic violence, sexual assaults. This country's spinning out of control.
Well, and I think
crime-wise.
a lot of people think it's only in these bad neighborhoods or these bad parts of town. My wife had a really good friend from high school, gated neighborhood, 6-foot privacy fence or 7-foot or whatever they are, the big, the white, private PVC privacy fences, whatever. She's standing at the sink washing dishes one day, and her little girl's outside playing. She's probably 6, 7 years old, out there playing in the backyard. Dude jumps over the fence, snatches the little girl, and starts to jump over. And luckily, they had a Rottweiler, and this Rottweiler got him by his ass before he got over the fence with the little girl. He dropped the girl, and he finally got away. They don't have a clue who he was, what was going on, but she watched this happen while she was standing there. Like, watched this guy jump the fence, snatch the daughter, and go to jump over the fence.
That'd be traumatizing as a parent.
Oh, it's like
Couldn't imagine.
she can't. Of course, now they got everything's like she don't let her kid go nowhere. Like people say to me, "Hey, you got to quit being such a helicopter parent." I go to the park, I'm right with my kid the whole time. Because I know my son. My son believes everybody's like, "Hey, man, let's go play superheroes." So, I just make sure, like, hey, I'm going to watch you. I'm going to be right here with you the entire time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't got time to go over here and play on my phone or do, work while you're in the park playing. I'm right there with my kid the whole time.
One TikTok video and things could change
Yeah.
while you're at the park.
While you're there. So I just think that people do need to be aware that this is everywhere. That's not to put fear. I don't want people to run around their neighborhoods being afraid all the time, but just to be aware. So not about being afraid, but being aware.
Oh, awareness is key. And it's time to wake people up to that reality because we've all kept our head in the sand for so long.
Right.
That's how we got here.
It's kind of like that. It could never happen to me mentality.
100%. Or the I don't want to hear about it mentality.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about it. Well, guess what? Your child will probably be affected by this at some point.
Yeah.
And that's statistically like a fact. Not saying that they'll get abducted and raped. That's about 1 in 10 will be sexually assaulted by some point by the time they're 18. But your child will be contacted, attempted to be groomed, or somewhere in that process by the time you're 18. It's almost every kid that touches a phone. Or something.
Wow.
Dear God, please don't let it happen because I will be in jail. I'll be in
That's why
prison.
we're here, right? To
Yeah.
spread the
If
word.
you're a 12-year-old girl and you create a TikTok account, right? within 2 hours. TikTok knows everything about your 12-year-oldness, and it starts to, through the algorithms, pump you suicide videos, cutting videos, hypersexualization videos. So the girls see older girls sexualize themselves, doing all these things, and what that does, it gets you comments, follows, right? And all the things that are important these days. And younger girls start to want to emulate that. And also within those 2 hours, there's over 40 men above the age of 21 in your inbox.
So what he did just now was spew some hardcore facts.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to be wondering, how the hell did he know that? So we gotta get so you start turning to Christ, you start trying to make yourself better. Then what?
So once I started Googling human trafficking and seeing how bad it here is in the States, and it's not just immigrants coming across the border, it's happening in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I started to learn about child sexual exploitation, which is happening all over, So I saw those charities that were doing stuff. A lot of them were doing it overseas. So I'm going to start a charity. Makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
So I Googled how to start a charity. I started it, applied for the 501c3, and I started to build a team of computer people and the boys, right? And we were just going to go do some vigilante shit.
Straight up Batman in this place.
Yeah, right? We were going to go rescue some kids, and we didn't really think through what we were going to do to the guys. I like to think that, maybe, I don't know. A wood chipper, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean,
now you can never rent a wood chipper.
Right. Just kidding. But I mean, now those are the thoughts, man. I was in vengeance mode, bro.
Yeah.
I was in vengeance mode.
for sure.
Like, if I could just save one kid or one person from ending up like my sister, right?
Right,
just do something in her memory. Yeah, it was. I was not out of that dark place yet, but there was a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Right. Yeah.
I guess that's kind of fitting, it's called Operation Light Shine. But I have a real good buddy here in town. I can't say his name because he's still an active Homeland Security agent, but he's a starving guitarist, in the bars at night, and songwriter, awesome dude. And he's like,
I love him already.
Yeah. He's awesome. He's out there, doing the Lord's work, trying to save kids for Homeland Security. He's like, Matt, you really need to talk to somebody before you go do this.
Right.
It's like, all right, man, whatever. But, I love him, so I was like, hey, so if you can set up a meeting, I'll do it. So he tells me that his boss, his name is Jim Cole, and Jim is considered the premier, like the top child exploitation agent in the world.
Wow.
Right? And he's chairman of the Crimes Against Children Board for Interpol, goes all over the world and teaches people how to investigate this crime. Like he invented the victim ID program and the victim-centric approach to where instead of law enforcement used to always just high-five, we caught the bad guy, but he's like, no, we need to find the kids. We need to find the kids that are being hurt, and then we'll find all the bad guys.
Yeah.
So he's just a pioneer, a legend in that field. And he now works at Light Shine, which is cool. But at that point, he's a Homeland Security agent. So he agrees to meet me, right? And so I go into the Homeland Security office, and they packed this conference room out, man. I was like, FBI, Homeland Security. I think there might have been some Secret Service in there. I don't know. Full conference room, 2 chairs open in the middle. And I'm like, they must have heard about it. They're going to love this.
I'm in the hot seat.
No, I was like, they brought the whole team.
They're fixing to give me permission.
Yeah. I thought they were going to give me permission. I really did. I was like, we've been waiting for somebody.
Here's your
like,
certificate of okayness.
Yeah. Special agent, whatever. Let's go.
Yeah.
Apparently, you got to go through a course. But, so I really walked in there excited. I pitched him the whole thing. And Jim looks at me and he goes, Matt, that's illegal. Vigilante. Some people already do similar things. You're talking about the intel side, but they do it at a scale with approval better than you can because they have approval. And then, we might have to arrest you. So I was just thinking in my head, I was like,
so no permission.
I've been duped into coming to this meeting.
No, so I just looked up, said a quick little prayer in my head, like, why not go, I'm on this path, I don't look like an asshole in here. And then I just looked back at Jim and I said, oh, you tell me, what can I do, man? How can I honor my sister? How can I, do something good? It's like, if you just did everything that you told me, but instead of using guys like you put that behind supporting police, you can make a difference. Tell me more, right? So,
Yeah.
so he had thought about this concept and had something kind of similar that he had done in a different state years and years ago, of bringing federal, state, and local law enforcement together on a joint task force to combat human trafficking and child exploitation full time, right? So there's all kinds of task forces all over the country. A lot of them are just task forces by name. A lot of them are like get called together for a special whatever. There is no full-time task force,
Agency,
federal, state, and local, working human trafficking and child exploitation, and both are absolutely out of control.
Absolutely.
You know, you could take every law enforcement officer in the United States of America and put them against just child exploitation alone, and they wouldn't be able to handle the caseload.
Wow. That's a stat.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, less than 1% are actively investigated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and it's not because they don't care. They don't have time. I mean, let's be honest real quick. If you hand me a computer and say, "Hey, Matt, you're now a child exploitation agent," I know what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what happens to cops all over the country.
Yeah.
That's next level use of technology and software and programs, and that's schools on top of schools and all these type of things to be able to investigate it. So like I said earlier, law enforcement now because current social issues and policy and everything else, law enforcement is they're being demonized.
Yeah.
Kind of like veterans after Vietnam.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people want to be a cops, and especially in some of the worst cities of crime.
Right.
Because the policy kind of fits too, right?
Yeah.
Cops, people are just leaving the departments and droves. Nashville Police Department's like 360 officers short. They've got everybody working overtime. But that's every city, almost every city in the country right now.
And I think on a daily basis, you say, "Oh, there's a cop. He's trying to give me a ticket." Like, I mean, I think that's how you live your life. Like, "Oh, he's just out here to meet a quota," and people think that. But I'm like, these cops are so overworked, like you said. But then they see stuff, the traumatic things they see on it. I mean, they go to wrecks and they go to, fires and firefighters. All these, they see things that we never have to see.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you never have to see it. I've seen it once on the interstate that I told you about when I saw a woman run out into traffic in front of us and, get hit and stuff. But then their cops are all there. They're marking off everything. They're marking the scene. They're looking at, how did this get hit? There's an investigator there that has to see all the parts. That lives with you forever.
Yep.
And so, like you said, they're already so overworked and they do so much more than what we think they do of just give you tickets or try to keep you from drunk driving or this or that. Like, there's so much more to their job than just those 2 or 3 little things that we think about on a daily basis.
You're right, man. And then could you imagine being one of those cops that has to watch the videos and see the pictures of kids, toddlers, infants getting raped?
I had one that worked he worked out at my gym. His name was Adrian, and that was his job. He was one of the head guys of the sex trafficking right here in Nashville area, Brentwood. And he calls me one day and he's like, "Man," he goes, "I got a lot on my mind today. Could you talk after the workout?" I said, "Yeah." And he tells me, they went into this house the night before to bust it over in Antioch, actually. And he had been called in to kind of lead the charge because they got, like you said, they group together and do stuff. And said he got in there and walked in and there's a little 3-year-old girl going down on this dude.
Oh, no.
And he's like, "It's everything in my power not to kill this guy." He's like, because I'm like, I don't, he's like, I've been prepared for it. I've been trained for it. He goes, "I didn't." He goes, "But that's the thought that comes across your brain is like, how can this be happening?"
Yeah.
He said, and so then he has to live with that and go through that. So he got some time off after that because there was so much rage there. I mean, all the cops wanted to, do something with that. And then they take the little girl in and they get her actually she went and started living with a friend of mine. And then the grandma ended up taking her back and stuff. But it was a hard situation for him.
And they got to deal with that stuff all the time, and in the mental health, and so it's really important for these officers, especially getting the care that they need.
Yeah,
dealing with this, man. But so
y'all get the technology together.
Yeah. So Jim Cole guided you.
Jim Cole's like, "Look, Matt, if you do this, if you can get this task force established, get the money, get the building, put all this stuff in there, and make it better than crap we got, then I'll move every agent that works human trafficking and child exploitation out of the office and put them in your task force." I was like, "All right." You know, nobody
go.
thought this was
Challenge
gonna happen,
number
right?
3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
challenge accepted.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about what I'm trying to do. It's only like a week later. Talking about what I'm trying to do, raise some money up for. At one of my buddy's music video shoots, Dustin Black. He was
Yeah.
shooting,
Dusty.
shooting a video.
Yeah, Dusty.
Dusty Black now.
Yeah, Dusty. It's Dusty now.
Sorry, it used to be Dustin. But you know, no one, yeah, never mind. No one forgets. But yeah, man, like he's one of my best friends. Man. I love that dude to death. But I'm at his music video shoot and I'm talking about it, and this girl there goes, Matt, you know, Tim Tebow would love this. I was like, yeah, I'm sure he would, you know, but
Yeah, I don't get to Tim Tebow.
yeah. But she's like, no, I'll have him call you. And I'm like, all right. You know, people say things like that all the time.
Right,
and,
yeah.
You know, and it didn't, know what to think about that. But sure enough, like a week later, Steve Buendo, who's the president of the Tim Tebow Foundation, calls me. He goes, Matt, we heard all about what you want to do. Could you come down here to Jacksonville and meet Timmy? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, why not? And this was
Good old Timmy.
Yeah, Timmy, right?
When they call him Timmy, you know they're in.
Yeah. And Steve's kind of, just Steve, great human being. And so yeah, I go down there. This is when Tim was trying out to be a tight end, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everybody remembers that, right?
Yeah.
And so he had been at practice all day. So I go and I meet with him and Steve around, I don't know, like 5 o'clock. And practice for 12 hours. They get up like 3:30, and it's just whatever. He spent 6 hours in a restaurant with me.
Wow.
Just interested, Cause
Yeah.
like some people that put their name on a foundation or whatever. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, get money, get out of here.
Yeah.
This dude, he was locked in.
Yeah.
Right. So that started a process. So Tim and I started to get to know each other. I was at his house, hanging out with him and Demi, trying to develop that relationship. And a little bit later, and I get a text saying, "Hey Matt, can you get a plane to get 74 people out of Afghanistan?" And the pullout had just happened. And then literally, like in 5 minutes, Tim gets a call from somebody asking for money to help out with the Afghanistan evacuation. So that got us connected in another way.
Right.
We're not just talking about this. We're like, hey, this is
Things
kind of
are
like,
matching
are
up,
these guys legitimate? Is this dude legitimate? Whatever. So we started to meet each other's people in a sort of way, and we just started kind of helping all each other's organizations out over the world. So I mean, we still can get people out of Afghanistan if we need to.
It's dope.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people out. I don't know how many, 1,000.
Wow.
2,000, I don't know, somewhere.
That would have been left there if y'all
It's a
didn't.
bunch.
If y'all didn't do that, that would have been left there, right?
Yeah, that was crazy, man. I was living because I was still active duty, going through this retirement process. I'm really just living in my couch, COVID, hanging out in boxers and eating Doritos and literally on WhatsApp about 20 hours a day, maneuvering families throughout the country to get them out.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow, man. So we did that, and then we developed that trust. So after the whole Afghanistan thing, that kind of like validation, this dude's legitimate, we'll both get things done, because I got to trust him too, right?
That's right. Yeah.
He calls me and he goes, hey, we're going to give you $500,000 to launch the task force in Nashville. Like, let's go. So he sent the money, got the building, moved them in, and got to work. And man, everything that's happened since then has just been kind of a whirlwind. We only launched in February of 2022, and now we have 3 active task forces with the 4th about to launch.
Full time.
Full time.
Yes.
Here in Nashville, Jacksonville, Florida, Fort Myers, Florida. Hopefully Tampa will be up and running in the next couple months. But the coolest part about this is after we open the Nashville task force, because we're able to pull this off, but this public-private partnership is so crucial. So here's how it works. Law enforcement comes together, federal, state, and local, and then Operation Lightshine goes and recruits other charities that, are the best at what they do in each area of investigation, support, or help, or aftercare, and we partner with them.
Great.
Right?
Love that.
So, because this isn't about just, as me. This is about who's the best.
That's right.
Who can get shit done.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. What do you do? I'm so sick of people. People say a lot of shit. Had it with that, man. And so Tim Tebow Foundation's partnered with us. The Child Rescue Coalition's partnered with us. The National Child Protection Task Force is partnered with us. We're partnered with Filter First for their educational programs for kids about social media safety and awareness.
Nice.
And then we partnered with Sentinel Foundation and Lantern Rescue for all of our overseas work, right? Built
That's
this
awesome.
coalition, right? We call it the Avengers, right? It's been a whirlwind, but people from all over the world started flying. Excuse me. No one in Nashville even knew we were here. No one in
Right.
Nashville still knows. But
I know.
yeah, you know.
But I'm in
right?
Murfreesboro. So.
Oh, and we're about to have to change things here in Nashville. That's a whole other topic, but you
Yeah.
know, politics.
Right.
Yeah, they ain't good,
You
right?
gotta move,
So-
you gotta move, you gotta move to
Yeah.
Williamson County. Okay.
yeah, no, yeah. So I digress. But yeah. So they started coming in like, how'd you guys pull this off? What's going on? How's it work? And the first state that came up, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement guys came up, and they loved it. So since Tim's, charity headquarters in Jacksonville, that's home.
Yeah.
We went and had a meeting. Say, hey, can we do this in Jacksonville? And the Homeland Security boss for Florida is like, let's go.
Heck yeah.
So we launched the Jacksonville Task Force fall of last year. Still didn't tell anybody about it. We've only had one public press conference about it. We've been trying to keep things quiet until we figure out all the nuances.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're ready to go public. And we've got a full-time task force in Jacksonville. 7 counties are participating. I'm sure you know sheriffs in Florida
Oh
have
yeah.
all the power.
Yeah.
Outside of the governor,
They're the
they
man.
run things.
Top
Yeah.
dog, yeah.
And we have 7 sheriff's departments on the task force. There's Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Homeland Security is on the task force, and then Naval Special Investigative Services is about to join too, because Jacksonville's a big naval town.
Yeah.
Same thing's happening down in Fort Myers. Same thing's about to happen in Tampa. But I met with 15 governors at this point, and we've been approved by all 15 to move into their states. Our next state is Virginia. Governor Youngkin is letting us do 21 counties around
Heck
Richmond
yeah.
as a
Wow,
pilot.
that's awesome.
Maryland's ready to go, but we're looking at strategically how to go next. But we're a new charity. Not these people aren't new to the fight. It's just the charity's new.
Right.
Yeah.
The concept is new. So we had to prove that it works. And
Absolutely.
It works. So I can't remember numbers. Sorry guys, I've been blown up more times than I can count. So I always have to
Pull them up.
Let's hear them. I can't wait to hear it.
But since we've launched the task force in February of 2022, we've had 225 arrests made, 60 indictments issued, 30 convictions have already been made, which is huge because that it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
50 search warrants have been conducted, but the most important part is 380 victims have been rescued.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
That's so awesome.
Hell yeah.
And
Hell
that-
yeah.
That's huge, man. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna get emotional too. I feel you.
know.
I feel you on that. 'Cause that's,
I know.
I mean, like you changed those people's lives forever.
Yeah.
Like what they went through now, they're gonna have to get through all the trauma and
Yeah.
the things that they saw, but you're giving them an opportunity and a chance to have a real life.
Man, this
Yeah.
is, I,
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I heard a story, and I know we've talked about it, but there was a little girl that was missing for 72 hours?
oh yeah. So there was a little girl, 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
In Dallas, Texas area. I don't want to be specific because she's
Right.
underage.
Yep.
But she was a cute, really cute blonde girl. The kind of girl, if he goes missing, see the flyer. That's the kind of stuff
Yeah.
people generally are like, oh my God, we got to find her,
Mhm.
kind of thing. And flyers were up everywhere. Homeland Security, every agency is looking for
Yeah.
her. And I get a text of her flyer from Steve Buendo,
Yeah.
the Tim Tebow Foundation president, and he goes, Matt, somebody in our foundation knows this young girl's family. Can you see what we can do? So sent it to Kevin, who's my partner and top intel dude I know when it comes to this type of stuff. He said she's been missing about 4 or 5 days at this point. Make it find her. This was wild. Kevin gets her flyer. 25 minutes, he had a pin dropped on her location,
Wow.
and she had been Romeo trafficked. So
What
the
does Romeo traffic
so
mean?
that's when they pretend to be
In a
love
relationship,
interest,
okay.
Well, they try to get you out and then
Right.
and then so thank God we were able to get her before they had
Got her.
started doing the horrible stuff.
We have to point
Wow.
this out. Homeland Security had been on this for days.
4 or 5, yeah.
And you guys have, through donations and through other charities, have the technology
Yeah.
that found this girl in 25 minutes.
Yep.
That's incredible.
And then by the end of the summer, we're going to launch the most advanced investigative suite in existence that we're having built right now by Pathfinder Labs in New Zealand. So we're going to have this system enterprised. It's going to have everything on it that law enforcement and intel analysts need.
Wow.
And it's going to be in our task forces. But the cool part is what we've done is we've brought the people together, all the different experts and people. It's a small community,
Yeah.
you know, and we've created something that's never existed before. It's a brick and mortar place for everyone to come together to share their investigative expertise, their technology, lessons learned, you know, resources and time to save our children. Because if we as a society can't keep our children safe, we have failed.
Yeah.
And here's the problem: the government spends around $40 billion a year on the war against drugs.
Right.
And 860 people still OD'd just in Nashville and
That's
died.
right.
Yeah.
Right. They spend $200 million across the board federally for the Internet Crimes Against Children task forces, which aren't full-time task forces, just like they
Right.
assign a cop in an area.
Well, that's pennies.
And these guys are drowning
Yeah.
in tips. So it's so bad, so they don't even really get to investigate everything
Right.
fully or
Yeah.
thoroughly.
Yeah, I remember
yeah.
it was back in either 2009 or 2010. My cousin, Holly Bobo, did you ever hear this story?
No.
In Parsons, Tennessee.
I remember the Bobo story.
Yeah, so she walked outside, and her little brother was outside playing, and this guy comes and grabs her, and the little brother sees him drag her off into the woods.
Yeah.
You know, and he goes in. He's like, "What's going on?" He don't know. I think he was young, you know, like 10 years old or something. He goes anyways. Goes and tells his mom, like, "Hey, somebody just, you know, this guy pulled up and walked up or whatever, drug Holly Bobo into the woods." And then the investigation went on for like 4 years, 5 years,
Yeah.
and they never could find her. A buddy of mine, who's a private investigator here in town, he went and told him. He went into the police and he's like, "Hey, this is who took her," because he had went in. Basically, if this guy walked in, you think that's Mr. Rogers. You know, you'd never know who this guy is.
Wow.
And he's like a 4th degree black belt, and he's got all the training, a lot of training, not as much as you, but a lot. But he goes in and he just this unassuming thing. So he goes in, goes out, kind of hangs out at places, gets the information. Here's one person talk, leads to another, and he says, "Hey, she's in this field." And this is like 4 or 5 years later, but he made it a mission. Well, he had gotten kicked out before. Like they told him, like, "Hey, you can't be here. This is a, whatever national investigation." He's like, so he goes in and just does it kind of on his own because he felt, felt obligated to do it because he wanted to. And he ends up, going and telling the person that he had that was still there that could get to him. He's like, "Hey, she's in this field, and these are the people that did it. And it's not just the one guy that y'all got in jail for it right now, because they had a guy in jail, even though they didn't have a body.
Yeah.
They had a guy in jail for it." So they go in the field, they dig it up, find her body.
Oh, wow.
Exactly where, he didn't know exactly where in the field it would be. He had just told him that's where it was at.
Yeah.
Because he had heard it from talking, just getting in there and letting eventually one low life says another thing to another low life, and it gets back to him. So told him where it was. They went and found it, bring it out. Of course, it's bones now, and it's, 3 or 4 years later, but it's been taken out. And the guy they had arrested for it was part of it, but there was 2 or 3 other guys, and they never could prove that those guys did this or that, except for the person's land that it was on was considered to be part of it, but they couldn't prove. He just, he was like, "No, I don't know. I didn't even know that was there. Somebody just buried on my land. This land's open all the time." He didn't live on the land, but he owned the land, you know. But from what we've been told, that he was one of the people that was involved with that as well. And but that was where my love for wanting to figure out how to solve these things come from, because that's my cousin. We're not close related, but my dad and her mom were pretty close when they were kids. So we're like 3rd or 4th cousins, however it would be. But I think my dad and her mom were like 2nd cousins, and then we would be like 4th or 5th or whatever you'd be, however that adds up. And, of course, we did some, Whitney Duncan. Whitney Duncan's a country artist as well. It's her first cousin.
Oh.
Their moms are sisters. And so anyways, so that was what kind of made me think, man, I want to be part of helping any of these things. So when I got called to do y'all's event, I didn't even know what it was. I just get called from my buddies like, "Hey, you want to play this event? Blah, blah, blah. It pays this much. It's to raise money for this charity." I'm like, I never even heard of that charity.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't think
sure.
anyone had it that
Yeah,
time.
no, I was like, sure, man. He told me who all was going to be on it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I said, I can get some other folks to come in if you want. And I think we ended up bringing out Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC, and I think it was Michael Ray, and you had Gavin DeGraw show
Michael
up.
Ray
It was
and
like,
Gavin there,
yeah, it was, and I can't remember who all else. Jared Blake was there. It was just ended up being this awesome event. So I get there and I have no clue. I'm just like, yeah, we're just playing another event. And then he gets up there and starts talking. I'm like, dude, I can't accept this money. So it turned out the way it was set up, they had to pay me the money, and then I had to, I was like, well, y'all pay it to me, and then I'll just pay it back to you. But it was just one of those things. I felt that obligation on my heart to make sure that, man, I want to help this individual cause. I do a lot of causes, and I can't do everything for free because I got to pay bills too. But that was one that was so close to home, and that was the reason I don't think I ever got to tell you that was the reason that was like, I want to be part of this in any way that I can.
Absolutely.
So with that, I know we're getting close to being out of time and everything, but I want you to tell, how can people help? How can people donate? How can, what are other things they can do? I mean, where do they call in with tips when you are ready for that, if you are not ready for that yet? But that's the important part, is like, we got to make sure this thing stays funded, because 100%. It's all through donations, right?
It's all through donations. We're doing everything on the privately that the government is not doing, right? And we're giving the police everything that they need, the support, the tech, everything they need, so they can scale this and rescue kids, even paying their salary. So the only way law enforcement are so understaffed, we have to do a salary replacement so that department will send an officer or detective over to work it. It's just a reality.
Right,
So that way they can hire another body. They're struggling. Our kids. It's about kids, right?
Yeah.
So, or any innocent person being enslaved or trafficked. So the way that people can support, really all we need is financially right now, because we've built the team quietly for the past year and a half of the best.
So you built the ship, you just need the money to keep it running.
You got to keep it to running and expand it.
Yeah.
This is a solution. Like, this is what's important. And like you talked about that guy that came and helped find your cousin.
Yeah.
Well,
I need to connect y'all too.
He was doing something right because he's a good person.
Yeah, wasn't getting paid nothing, no money.
He wasn't getting paid, but he's just one guy alone. And if he wouldn't have for years done what he did, she would have never been found.
Yeah.
But this trafficking and child exploitation especially are so out of control. We have to have something created to scale to this fight. And this is a solution built by law enforcement, special operations, and intel analysts, and investigative experts. This isn't just a charity saying, oh, we're going to go vigilante kids. This is the solution for this, right? This public-private partnership model. So the only thing we need is funding. So any of our social media platforms for Operation Lightshine, there's that link in bio stuff where there's to be able to check out the website and to donate. You can go straight to the website and donate.
And what does it cost? And then you may not have these numbers. What does it cost right now to run y'all's operation for a year? Just like it is without expansion.
So we have multiple task forces.
Right.
So it's not cheap. Salary replacement and vehicle for a detective, because we're trying to help underserved counties, right?
Right.
Because in underserved county, they probably don't even have a guy that knows how to work trafficking, child exploitation. So salary replacement and vehicle replacement costs is how we get them on the task force. So between that, the technology, the access to data, the rent, all the other things that are necessary, the trainings, we have experts from all over the world come in and train them, what to do and continue that training. Depending on the size of the task force, it can cost between, I would say, on the low end, about a little over $1 million a year, up to $3 million a year, depending on how big that area is.
Yeah.
But and that's why everybody's like, oh, I'm not rich, I can't really help. You don't have to be rich.
No, I mean,
$20 a month.
$10 goes a long way.
If we can get, there's 350 people in America. If we can get half of those people paying $1 a month, we're good to go.
We can save
We can save the kids.
Yeah. And that's what it is. They don't have to be rich, just willing to give a little bit. So many people are like, what can I do? What can I do? Well, I think most people hopefully could spare $20, just $20. Whatever you can do. You can do more than that, do more than that. That'd be awesome. But this is going to the places it needs to go to get the job done. And then some people are like, well, you're not in my state, so I can't get to your state if
we don't expand.
If we can't build it.
I currently care about kids in every state. My personal self.
Because look at, there's some charities out there that get $40-50 million a year from Americans rescue kids overseas, and I'm not saying
we want to help them too.
But if we can't fix our own backyard, our own house.
At some point, America has to go first.
And that was the reason. Like, we're going to Kansas. Me and Jerry Blake are going to Kansas. May we're going to leave, and we'll leave on the 11th, and we'll be in Kansas until the 21st. We fly home on the 21st, and we're going to Salina, Topeka, Wichita, a few other places where. So, we're going to go in and sing at the VA. So we go in and we go around to a lot of these guys. That's awesome. Korean war vets, and they're like the one we had last year was 91 years old. You saw that one on TikTok or Instagram where we were singing and playing to that guy, and he started smiling. He was a 91-year-old Korean war veteran, no home.
Yeah.
nowhere to go. Lives in the VA, basically, in the VA hospital in Wichita. I think it was Wichita. And we played for him. He looks at me. He's like, I don't even remember the last time somebody come to see me. He goes, I've done this and this, and I was in a war that everybody forgot. He's like, but man, he goes, I guess it's one of the best days of my life. Just that fact that y'all come and sit here with me and talk. And I wasn't giving him money. It wasn't changing the fact that he didn't have nowhere to go outside of there, but they're going to keep it. They take care of him, and it's really awesome that they do that. But we're speaking at 3 or 4 different VAs and playing. We're going to 2 homeless shelters. We're speaking at 3 schools. Like, we're doing all these things, and that's all, the thing we did last night. He's supported all of our shows, but we put on these shows, and that's what the money goes to, is for, to fund us to be able to go on those trips. And we're not taking money, that's to fund us going on those trips.
Yeah.
Well, while we're there, what we do is we team up with a local, person that has pretty good money or whatever, that knows the community, and say, hey, let us bring in, this one we're bringing in Thompson Square. Last year we took James Otto, but let us bring in this person. Y'all sell tickets, tables, whatever. This is what it's going to cost us to bring it in. But if you can go sell 20 tables or whatever, this is how much the charity can make. And then we'll have a silent auction, and we'll have a live auction, because I'm an auctioneer as well. And we do those things. And last year we were able to raise right at $25,000 for that, just for the local homeless veterans in Salina, Kansas.
Oh, that's cool.
And so,
That's awesome.
when you're looking at the grand scheme of things, 25,000 doesn't go a long way. But when you're looking at this one local community, 25,000 can do a lot. It can put a lot of food in people's bellies that are homeless and things. So,
Yeah.
but the reason we're able to do that is, like you said, because of people that put in the money, and we're appreciative of that. But we want to make sure, another thing we do is we help raise money for other charities.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure, let's look at, as we get out of here, how can we put another show together with you, do some of these table shows, make y'all the beneficiary of that money that night. We've done Creative Vets. We've done Junior
love those
Diabetes
guys.
Foundations, a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But we need to definitely do one with y'all and make sure. I mean, we've had those nights that have, some nights have, I think the lowest one was around 20 grand, but we've had nights that have done 90 to $100,000, right here in Murfreesboro. So,
That's amazing.
and that's just local business folks coming in and saying, hey, we believe in this. They buy stuff at the auction, they buy tables, they donate, but they need to know about this cause.
Yeah.
Agreed.
This is huge. So,
I appreciate
Matt,
that, man.
just to kind of, if you like this, follow, like, share, all that good stuff. Make sure you go to Operation Light Shine. Also, follow, like, share, donate, and then donate again, and then next month donate again.
Yeah.
That is how we refine America.
Yeah.
It's
it
people
is.
like you, Operation Light Shine, people like you. We have to give. The money is going to the greater cause.
Yeah.
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 It's so necessary.
Is there anything you want to leave us with before we go out of here? Anything that's last important to you?
Here's the most important thing. We're never going to be able to rescue our way out of this problem. It's so systemic and it's so out of control.
Yeah.
We're never going to be able to rescue them all. We're going to rescue as many as they can. What I want to leave us with is parents, stop giving these to your kids.
Yeah.
Stop giving these to your kids. This is single-handedly destroying their lives. And the worst outcome, or people perceive, is that they could get trafficked or exploited. The worst outcome is that they lose their humanity.
Right.
And they lose what it means to be a person. And that's what's happening to our children right now. And we're in the middle of a public health crisis like we've never seen. And we're probably a few years away from being destroyed by it, because right now kids are becoming detached from reality, depressed, suicidal, hypersexualized, addicted to pornography, and don't have an identity outside of their social media, and their self-worth and their value and everything is put into a device. Children do not need that in their hands. So that's what I'd leave with, because at the worst end of it,
Yeah.
that's where they end up. But, stopping child exploitation, stopping human trafficking starts with parents being parents.
Amen.
And learning how to parent in this.
Yeah.
in this
Get
world.
outside, spend some time with your kid, and spend some purpose time with your kid. I know it's hard because a lot of us work from home now. We have all these things going on, but if you can take that 15 or 20 minutes and just be right there with them in the moment and not be on your phone. And I know it's hard. Trust me. I work on mine all day. You all both work on yours all day. And but every day you got to find that time, and it's a good reminder for all of us. And we all try our best with our kids, but it's just a great reminder. So I appreciate that. Thank you for, definitely putting that out there to help us all be better parents. Refine life.
I got two things I want to leave us with. One, he practices what he preaches, because I texted him yesterday and I didn't hear back from him till today. He said, sorry, I forgot to tell you I was having a phone-free weekend.
I like it.
And what did I say? I'm jealous as hell.
Yeah.
I love it. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't respond to my Speedo picture I sent you. I sent him a picture of me in a Speedo, and that's what.
That deserves a
During the
response.
week, I get yelled at all the time, you know, and
Yeah.
it's because it's work. You know, you got to
Yeah.
keep up with stuff. You know, I'm really trying to limit the time I'm on social media because I notice I just get in these rabbit holes, right?
Yeah.
You know, where
Yeah.
I'm losing my life and my time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
You got to take time for yourself too. So
And number 2, I told you guys this was going to be one of the most important podcasts we ever do. I meant it. We appreciate you and everything you guys are doing at Operation Lightshine. We love you. We love y'all. Let's go be refined.
yeah. And number 3, Ghost, you actually owe us $10,000 now, which we're going to donate to Operation Lightshine. So thanks, Ghost, for your donations. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
yeah. Checks to the mail, right?
Yeah, it's on the way.
Thank you so much, guys.
No,
Thank you,
thank
brother.
you.
I appreciate it.